It's Sunday evening and I've just had a quick shower to wake up a little bit, and I've got a couple more hours productivity before bedtime. So I've decided to use that time wisely and make some candles. So I'll be testing Kerasoy container wax. It's also called Kerasoy 4130. And I've purchased this from Scent Soaps and Candles. I'm going to be using this with a fragrance oil called Evergreen, which is from Cozy Owl. Now, their fragrance oils have been specifically designed to work with Kerasoy wax. So they will hopefully complement each other. And the wicks I'm going to be using are wooden wicks from Candle Shack. So I'll be testing the LC1 and the LB1. They're the same width, but one of them is thinner than the other, so there's a slight variation. I'll also be using some additives. So I'm going to use this UV inhibitor from Livemore. I've not used it much before, but I've done a bit of research, and some of the benefits it mentions: it prevents fading if you're using colour, which I will be adding some green dye. So hopefully, it will keep the green looking green. It also apparently prolongs candle lifespan, protects fragrance integrity, and can improve the candle appearance. So there's a few benefits. I don't think it's essential, but I just want to get into a habit of using it because I want to really advance my candle making skills. I'll also be using this here, which is called stearic acid. This basically helps harden the wax. So by making it harder, it helps the candle burn for longer. It's also really good at preventing sweating as well. I don't know if Kerasoy is prone to sweating, but Eco Soya CB Advanced most certainly is. And when I use this, it really helps stop the sweating. So I have had a really good experience with this. And yes, I can say for certain, it does make the candle wax harder and last for longer as well. So this is really worth your money. It's very cheap as well. So the candle's going to weigh 210. That's going to be the final weight of it when it's a finished product. So to achieve that, I'm going to be weighing up 194 grams of wax. And then the percentage of stearic acid is going to be, the percentage of UV stabilizer is going to be 0.2%. So that's rounded up to 0.4 grams. Then I'll be adding 4% of stearic acid, which comes to 8 grams. These percentages are just based on the overall candle weight here. Fragrance oil is going to be 8%, so that's 16.8. I'll round that up to 17 grams of fragrance oil. So yeah, that's my measurements and percentages. I'll be heating the wax to 70 degrees. Then I'll mix in my dye. So I'll be adding in 3 drops of green, which is like a liquid dye. Then I'll let the wax cool to 55 degrees, which is when I'll add in my fragrance oil. I'll mix that for a minute or so. Then I'll let it cool to 45 degrees, which is the temperature that I'll pour the wax in to the container. So I've done a bit of research, and I think it mentioned that the wax starts to congeal around 45 to 55 degrees. So yeah, you wanna mix in your fragrance oil as close to pour temperature as possible. So I've given myself a little bit of leeway by saying I'll mix it in at 55. And by the time I've mixed it in, it should near enough have cooled to 45 degrees. My room temperature currently is 24 degrees. All right, so now I'm going to weigh up all my wax, UV stabilizer, and stearic acid, as well as my fragrance oil. All right, so my Kerasoy wax is now in the wax melter. I've prepped my UV stabilizer and stearic acid and my fragrance oil, and I've prepped my jars as well. So I haven't actually stuck the wicks in yet because I need to melt the wax and I need to prime these wicks. So I'll come back to those shortly. The way I do this is I put the UV stabilizer and stearic acid in right at the beginning before I start melting the wax, so it all melts at the same time, and I'll gently mix it gradually as it all begins to melt. So it's gone to 76 degrees Celsius, which is fine. You need to be careful not to heat it too much because it can damage the wax. All right, so I'm gonna add in my dye now. 6 drops of this, because I want to add 3 drops per candle, so 6 in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guys, I just realised I forgot to prime my wicks. Usually I would do that before adding in the dye, but I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. So basically I'm going to just grab the wick and completely submerge it underneath the wax. And then just shake off the excess. And then pop that somewhere where it can dry. Right, so I'll let these dry off just for a few minutes whilst keeping an eye on the temperature. So it's now 63. So I need to be fairly quick because I need to mix in my fragrance oil when it gets to 55 degrees. I'm just mixing in my fragrance oil now, guys. I've pre-wicked my jars and the temperature got to 55, and I'm going to just stir this for about a minute or 2 minutes. So here's the end result. I've poured them both at 210 grams each and it's looking good so far. Just to mention, I didn't actually preheat these jars. I just wanted to try it without preheating them just to see what the adhesion's like. If the adhesion's not 100%, then I'll consider preheating the jars next time. But for now, let's see what happens. And yeah, I'll burn test these in a couple of days and I'll let you know how they go. But they smell great. They're very fresh, very piney. It reminds me of like Christmas pine scents. I'm a little bit worried it might come across as a little bit like a pine cleaning product, but I'll give a better opinion about that when I do the official burn test. Alright guys, so it's been about 15 hours since I poured these Kerasoy candles and they're both looking really good. The surfaces are pretty smooth. There's a little bit of a pull away of wax from the wick, so I might go over it with a heat gun, but it's okay to be fair. They're very flat, so there's no shrinkage, which is fantastic. So they won't need a second pour. There is some frosting on this one, but it's very, very subtle. But I'd say that's okay. I mean, frosting is to be expected in soy candles, but this one didn't frost whatsoever. You can see it's just the same consistent colour. So it's quite strange how one of them frosted but the other one didn't when I poured them exactly the same. But that's fine, not a problem at all. The adhesion's more important to me than the frosting, and you can see here the adhesion is perfect. And just to remind you, I didn't preheat these jars, so they were just poured straight in. So yeah, really good result. The cold throw is amazing. It's a very strong fragrance though, so yeah, really, really fresh. Yeah, it's really strong pine fragrance, and yeah, it's really nice. It smells more natural and more sweeter now than it did yesterday. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the smell. So yeah, really good results with Kerasoy. It's, as I say, really good adhesion, minimal frosting, cold throw is brilliant, and the surface tops are very smooth, and no double pour required. And to be honest, I really don't even think I need to go over these with a heat gun. I probably would though, just to get rid of that slight pull away from the wick. But you could easily sell these without going over them with a heat gun as well. So yeah, really good results with the Kerasoy. So I'm really delighted with that actually, and it's surpassed my expectations. I'm not going to comment on the burn test in this video, but I'll do another video later on to talk about the burn test results. So check out any future videos if you're interested to know how these perform. And once again, thanks for watching.